Okay. Now I'm going to walk you through an example of an object. I've taken this out of the slide, made it a little bit bigger so it's easier to read. So the next slide in the PowerPoint creates an object file called rock. And if you look up here, it says public class rock. So what we're doing is we're making a rock object. And inside, we're going to have all of the various components that we need to make an object file. The first thing is we're going to declare our data field. So in this case, every rock has a color, every rock has a weight. We've made them private because every data field should be private. The next thing we need to do is we need to name the type of the data field. So a color is a string, capital S string, color. So red, blue, black, gray, whatever. Our next variable is the weight. The weight is going to be whatever in grams, ounces, pounds, whatever it is. And that needs to be a double. The reason it needs to be a double, always remember I said in class, default to double unless you come up for a reason for an integer. In the case here, we want to double because we can have a decimal point of a weight. Now, the next two things you see here, public rock, open close parens, public rock, open parens, string C, comma, double W. These are our constructors. So I have a default constructor, the first one, and then I have a 2-argument constructor, the second one. So when I look at this, if I create a new rock and I say rock Steve equals new rock and I put nothing in parentheses, then Steve is going to be a rock that is colored gray, weighing 2.5 pounds, whatever it is. So that's my default. So if I don't give arguments, Steve is a rock that's gray and weighs 2.5. Now I also can create a rock where I send it values. The example I have here is I could send it a string, which is the color. I could send it a double, which is the weight. Inside the program, it's just going to be calling them C and W. So if I said rock Bob equals new rock, quotes white, comma, 12.1, that would create a rock object called Bob that was colored white. That C is white. It stores it into our color variable. And the weight would be 12.1. That stores it into our weight variable. So there is where we have our constructors. Now, the next thing we have, as I scroll down a little bit, is I have two getters, two accessor methods. Notice these are return methods. They're instance methods. Public, string, get color. What that will do is when I'm in another file, it will allow me to access the value of a color. So if I said Steve.getColor, instance, Steve.getColor, it would send back to me gray, because Steve was gray. If I said Bob.getColor, it would send back to me white, because Bob is white. Now, the next thing is the same thing follows for weight. Public double get weight. And notice both of these are return methods, so they're going to send something back to your program. It allows you to access them from outside of your object file. The next two are our mutators. These are how we change the value. So let's say, for example, I realized that Bob wasn't really white, that Bob was silver. Well, what I would do is I would call the method bob.setColor, and then inside the parentheses after setColor, I would put silver in quotation marks. And what that would do is it would override the value of the color variable that was white and change it to silver. So this is how I could override it, mutate it, change it. So that's what we're going to do is set color. The same thing here goes for set weight. I could change the weight. The final method there is the toString method. What that allows me to do is that allows me to print out the values of the object. So notice it says return color in quotes. So it's going to print out color on the screen. Then it's going to actually send the color back. Then it's going to have weight on the screen, and it's going to print the value of weight. So for example, if I said Steve.toString, what would return is color, gray, weight, 2.5. So this is what an object file looks like, and this is what you're going to do. And I would recommend strongly when you start working on Movie to have this specific page open, because it really is kind of the template that you're going to follow.